There's a truth so ancient, so raw, and so powerfully misunderstood that most men fear it, reject it, or mock it. But a rare few, embrace it. This truth didn't come from a modern dating coach. It didn't come from red pill podcasts or self-help books. It came from a man who lived over 2,300 years ago, a man named Epicurus. Yes, Epicurus, the philosopher of pleasure. But what if I told you his real message was far darker, far lonelier, and far more liberating than you've ever been told? Because buried beneath the soft veil of pleasure is a brutal revelation. Single men, truly single men, may be the only ones who can thrive in today's world, because they embrace what others flee from. Let's break this down through Epicurus, through Stoicism, and through the cold truth of what it means to be a man, alone. Part 1. The Myth of Epicurean Pleasure. Most people misunderstand Epicurus. They think he was a hedonist, that he promoted indulgence, luxury, and endless enjoyment. But that's false. Epicurus wasn't about pleasure in excess. He was about pleasure in control. He believed the highest pleasures were not found in desire, but in its absence. He said, "If you wish to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desire." And what desire is more intoxicating, more distracting than the desire for romantic validation? Epicurus warned us, chasing romantic pleasure often leads to dependency, anxiety, and turmoil, because every bond we think gives us comfort can become a chain. Part 2. The Solitary Man. Epicurus lived in a garden away from the city with a close group of friends, but he warned even about friendship. He said true happiness doesn't depend on others. He wrote, "The wise man does not consider the loss of a lover to be a misfortune." Let that sink in. A modern man loses a partner and spirals. He questions his worth. His confidence shatters. But Epicurus, he saw detachment as power, not coldness, not apathy, power. Why? Because the single man who has mastered himself is freer than the man who needs others to complete him. You see, thriving alone isn't a curse, it's the final stage of inner strength. Part 3. The Stoic Parallel. And this is where Stoicism enters the arena. Like Epicurus, the Stoics, especially Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, taught us to pursue self-mastery over social validation. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Romantic love, relationships, status in society, all of these are external. They lie beyond control. So what happens to the man who builds his life on them? He becomes enslaved, emotionally, mentally, financially. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." The single man, alone by choice, not rejection, begins to see this. He sees the game, and he walks away from the board. Part 4. The Dark Truth. Here's the dark truth no one tells you. Society is built on male sacrifice. Men who give, men who labor, men who bleed, and often men who stay, for comfort, not for truth. But Epicurus showed us that comfort without freedom is not pleasure, it's sedation. The thriving single man isn't running from commitment. He's running toward clarity. He's discovering how much of his identity was built around being good enough for someone else. That's the darkness, that so many men live their lives for approval, when the only real approval that ever mattered was their own. Part 5. Why Single Men Thrive. Let's get brutally honest. Why do single men, true Stoic, Epicurean-minded men, thrive? Because they make decisions without compromise. They master their time, energy, and purpose. They build routines rooted in discipline, not distraction. They experience peace others can't understand. They're not at the mercy of someone else's moods, plans, or expectations. They don't need permission to evolve. They don't need someone to tell them they're worthy because they already know. They've earned it. In solitude. This is not loneliness. This is sovereignty. Part 6. The Modern Echo. In today's world, full of swiping apps, short attention spans, broken homes, and digital illusions, more men than ever are waking up. They're asking, why do I feel so empty chasing validation? Why does love feel like war? Why do I give everything and still feel nothing? And that's when the words of Epicurus and the Stoics return. They remind us, true strength begins the moment you stop needing and start becoming. Being single isn't a failure, it's a training ground, a crucible, a forge for the modern philosopher warrior. So here's what Epicurus really meant, what the world never told you. You don't need anyone to complete you. You don't need a partner to feel whole. You don't need to chase a dream that was never yours. You are already whole, already powerful, already free, but only if you dare to walk alone. And in that silence, become the man the world cannot break. If this message struck a chord in your soul, if you're done chasing shadows and ready to build an unshakable inner life, then subscribe to The Stoic Path. Here, we don't just talk about philosophy, we live it, because some men are meant to walk alone, not out of fear, but because their destiny was never meant to be shared.